Welcome to today's edition of Mental Health Matters. Today, we're going to be taking you guys back down memory lane. Get you something to drink, get you a snack, and come on back. So, the first show that we're going to be reviewing when we take y'all back down memory lane is fitness. As everybody knows, it's extremely important to take care of yourself and focus on your fitness. Check this show out.
Jeremiah, welcome to our show. Why don't we start off with you just telling me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just go from there.
All right, I'm Jeremiah James. I'm not sure what all to go ahead and tell you. I mean, I feel like there's so much I could tell you. One of the main things is I'm a personal trainer. I'm also a group fitness instructor, as well as I've dabbled in a lot of different fields. I've also I'm an indoor cycle instructor.
Nice.
Boot camp certified, battle rope level 1 certification. I'm precision nutrition certified as well. So I have a good amount of little different certifications and whatnot.
All right. Very impressive. Okay. So what motivated you to start your own personal fitness journey?
Well, I got to bring the story back a bit. So when I went ahead and I was going to school for a while, I had a career in mind. I was doing a career that I loved immensely. I was a lead manager of a movie theater, and I made a good amount of money. I was very happy. I enjoyed what I did, but then they had a whole turnabout with the company, and they let go pretty much all of us that were there. So about 40, 50 of us got let go within the first 90 days. And then from there, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I kept taking classes here and there in school. And then I was working 3 jobs at the time, all at once.
Wow, okay.
I was smoking 2 packs a day of cigarettes. I was drinking every day.
I was there.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it wasn't fun. It was a blast. I was also part of a punk rock band as well. We toured around. We were working on our first album. And then one day as I was leaving the bar that I worked at, I followed an ambulance all the way up to my house, and I witnessed them working on my father, and he passed away. So he passed away right there in front of us. We followed the ambulance to the hospital. They said there's nothing they could do. And it was because he had diabetes and he had a heart condition and he had all these different other problems. And I was just so in shock and awe because he changed his diet and he was working out a little bit and everything else.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think that would happen. A lot of the men in my family die really young. So I was very taken back, and I had to decide, what am I going to do from here? So while I was still in college, I decided, hey, I'm going to take a couple fitness classes and see if that speaks to me, or just to get myself a little healthier. And from there, I found a new passion and I found a new love. And so that started my fitness journey. And I got my biggest a little bit before that. I gained to about 364 was my heaviest I ever was. And then after
I could not imagine that. I seriously, I couldn't imagine that at all. Wow.
I was a big boy, but I mean, I'm 6'3", so it was kind of evenly distributed, but it was a big deal. And then after I started finding out that, I went to my first Idea World Fitness Convention with school.
Yeah.
And we all went as students, and it literally was just so mind-blowing and opening that there were so much more things out there I could do with it. And then I moved to Sacramento because I was living in Carson City, Nevada. And I started working one fitness job after another, and I've been doing it ever since. And it's now my passion and my love. So,
wow. Very, very impressive, man. Very impressive. Wow, it's a lot. So why do you think that a lot of people? Because I'm gonna speak on myself. You know, I grew up in a family who we was not exposed to fitness at all. We ate a whole lot of what you call soul food. We ate a lot of pork, macaroni and cheese, cornbread, just anything under the spectrum of being unhealthy, in my opinion. And it was only when I got introduced to a good friend of mine who is also a personal trainer, and he slowly but surely started to introduce me into the world of fitness. I can't lie, I was a little bit intimidated at first because I'm like, oh, these guys are big and they're fit. But he really took his time with me and really explained to me how this was my own personal journey, and not to look at them but focus on my personal fitness goals and things like that. And so from there, that's kind of how I was exposed to it. But you know, it was hard in the beginning because it was something that I wasn't used to. I had to take time out of my schedule. You know, I had to get accustomed to my body making changes and things like that. And but obviously in the end it paid off, and it continues to pay off. But it's sort of difficult when you first get introduced to something like that if you're not exposed to it at a young age.
I was not exposed to it at a young age at all. I mean, my parents, they signed me up for like little league and all that other stuff that I felt like it was a very generic thing to do for all kids my age. But my family was focused on, my dad was played bagpipes in the pipe band, so I was raised in a pipe band, learned how to play drums for my dad's rock bands and drums for the pipe band, and became a drum major. And theater was huge. Both my parents were theater majors in school. And so one thing I got taught when I was a very young age is you have to look the part. If you want to be funny, you can be chubby and you can be funny, or you can be like goofy looking and funny, or if you be the hero of your story, you have to look the way a hero looks. And so that means built right. You have to have those good genetics and that good look. And I grew so fast. I was 6 foot in sixth grade. I grew so fast. I was just lurpy and weird looking and was very clumsy, did not have control over my body whatsoever. And so I was like, oh, I can be funny. And so I just fixed that and decided I'm going to be funny. And so I did that, and I accepted like my role in life. I can be chubby, I can be funny. It doesn't matter because I'm funny. That's who I am. And so when I had to make that like mental change going, hey, no, I want to be fitness and everything else, I was like, well, I got to change my look. I got to change everything else. And then I found out, no, I don't. I just have to instead find my own way to go ahead and push that through and forward. And so that changed a lot for me. My only little introduction to fitness when I was finally in high school was my theater teacher made us do physical trainings, different big athletic trainings to go ahead and work on things. And then I also was in jujitsu in high school. Instead of doing a normal PE class, I took jujitsu, and I did ROTC and all that stuff. And that was a little bit of it, but that was the most I ever got. So when I went in to college, taking all these fitness classes, I already was well older than all my classmates, and they'd already been lifting, and they're a lot younger than me and bigger than me and fitter than me. And so I felt like I was playing catch up the whole time. But the thing is that none of them ever knew what it was like to be unhealthy. None of them knew what it was like to be not fit. All of them, they've been playing football forever. They've been doing sports and doing stuff forever, their whole lives. And so for me, coming from a perspective of, no, I love to sit on a couch and eat Taco Bell, watch TV. Like, that's me. And everything I was fed my whole life was either from a microwave or a box. Like, my parents didn't cook. That was it. Microwave or a box. All we ate. So,
wow. It's interesting that you said that the people that you was in class with did not experience a form of being unhealthy. Do you feel like people like us who come from an unhealthy background, do you think that give us more motivation to stay fit and be faithful with our fitness goals and our fitness journey?
I think it really, really does. Because the biggest thing for us is like, for them, when they start to slide back, they're like, oh, I'll get it back. I didn't have to work this hard to get to here. But for us, we sit there and we know how bad it can be. We know how easily we can slide back. We know our genetics. We know what we like. So having to fight that on a regular basis to go ahead and grow and push beyond it, I mean, it's a struggle all the time. I gotta 8-year-old here at home, and
Yeah.
there's sometimes he's eating a bowl of cereal, and I'm like, I would murder someone to chow down that bowl of cereal right now.
Yeah.
Sitting there eating my, vegetables and stuff, just looking at it, going, man, that just looks amazing. So
Yeah.
I feel like for us, it's more because we can remember it. It's so fresh in our minds, and also for us, we sit there and we look at us going, we've been there, and we just don't want to go back to it. And
Yeah.
so once that hits you, and that's always on your mind, that helps keep fueling that fire.
Yes, absolutely. So earlier you named several things that you train people in. What is your training philosophy?
So my training philosophy, it it's so different because I feel like having a solid philosophy on fitness that I used to have when I first started to what I have now has evolved and changed. And I think that's so important that your ideas of what you want to do and how you want to go about everything with fitness needs to change as you change. Because for me, I'm doing a ton of lifting right now for my goals and everything else. But there was a time beforehand where I was only focused on running and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And so I believe your fitness goals need to mark where you are in your life, even in that day. Because there is a time of day where I'll have a client come into me and they're ready, they're excited, they're jacked
Yeah.
to do this, and they want to hit it with all they got. Other days I see a client that struggles to get in there, and they look at me and go, I'm going to half-ass this. This is going to be a slow day for me. It's going to be chill. And I'm going to tell me why. Because maybe it does need to be that for you. Maybe that does. Or maybe I need to push you back to where you need to be because you need to go, hey, you know what? He's right, and I'm going to be back, and I'm going to be feeling better with this. So I feel like your workouts and your philosophy on how I need to go ahead and do this should never stay solid. It should always be flowing and changing with you. Because if you stick with a certain philosophy and stick with these certain rules, once they break apart or they can't hold you up anymore, that's when you fall back down, and that's when you go backwards instead of going forwards. So I feel like my philosophy is always just to be like water and just let it flow and follow it where you need to, because that will always put you on top and put you into the best place you can be when you're working out.
Yeah, I like that. I like how you laid that out because, and I do agree with you on that because as we grow, we are all in different places in life. In other words, as we grow older, our life change, and sometimes some of us get married, kids. Some of us get a 9 to 5 that is extending beyond the 5 o'clock, so our life change. And sometimes we do have to adapt to our fitness goals or fitness lifestyle based on what's going on in our lives. I think sometimes it's hard for people to make that change, because I have a friend like that, actually. He is so, he's one of those people that it's like this, and everything else gotta revolves around the way I wanted to be as far as at the gym or whatever. And it's so hard for him to make that change. It's really hard. And I try to talk to him about getting acclimated to different situations that come in his life. Get used to that, you get accustomed to that, but also allow your personal, not just fitness goals, your personal goals to flourish above that, because your goals are something that you want to eventually obtain in life. It doesn't mean that they have to stop because of a situation come about in your life, so to speak.
Yeah, because if you get too structured and too strict with it, when you have that injury, when you get sick, when something else in your family comes up, then that's so detrimental to you, and you can't be afraid to fail. You have to accept it, and embrace it, because I've had a spine surgery. I've had damage both of my knees, shoulder injuries, all these different injuries. And every single time you have to learn how to adapt and move on and keep going. You can't just let it kick you down and then stop. And that some people have this strict view of how they should look, strict view of how they should look, how every workout should turn out.
Yes.
But some days I have bad lifting days. Other days I have great lifting days. And some days my life gets in the way when I'm trying to get my good lifts in, or life gets in the way when I'm trying to make an amazing playlist for one of my cycle classes or something. And I'm like, oh, this is so prime. And then next thing I know, everything starts to fall apart. And you just got to be able to put it all back together as much as you can and just keep pushing on with what you got. And it's one of those things where you see the people that really flourish because they're able to be like, I tore my bicep. Cool. I'm going to work legs then for the next 6 months until this heals. You're like, oh my gosh, like that's the intensity. When someone gets hurt and then they're like, well, I just can't do anything anymore. And you're like, no, you can still, you have the whole rest of your body, you can still work. I had one amazing client. She was just on a great goal. She was eating great. She was changing everything. She had lost about 80 pounds. And then she was doing one move and did it incorrectly once. And she snapped one of her tendons in her leg. And it was devastating. And we were right in the middle of a big program that we were doing with her. And what she did, she came in the wheelchair, and I still worked her out every day. And I'm like, that is the person that is going to change. That's the person that's going to reach their goals. And because when you're like that, you're also going to be successful in everything else in your life. It's not just fitness. It's also work. It's family and all these other things. When someone in your family gets sick, do you just wash them off and go, well, I can't talk to them anymore? No, you got to change how you go about things. And those are the cool things that you learn in the gym and you learn during fitness, especially about yourself.
Exactly. Do you train people outside the gym as well, but just only in the gym?
I train.
Hello, Christina.
I train people. I train people right now, mainly just inside the gym. I do a little bit of training outside of the gym, but not too much. I like to make sure I have that umbrella of a gym to go ahead and train people. But I feel like so much of the time when I'm trying to like add other things to clients or friends or family members, that I can go ahead and make that smaller impacts that'll make a larger impact later.
The second show that we're going to take you back down memory lane with is COVID-19 vaccines. As all of y'all know, in 2020 and 2021, COVID-19 swept across our nation. But there was a vaccine that was invented to get us back on track. Listen at this show.
So let's get into the vaccine. So what is a vaccine and what does it do?
So the vaccine is to try to give your body a chance of developing immunity to the virus without actually getting the virus itself. So it's to expose your body to a part of the virus that your body develops an immune response to, antibodies to fight the virus if it does see the virus. And so when people are infected by the virus will come in and basically kind of take over the cell's mechanisms and make their protein and that's what gets people sick. They get a bad inflammatory response to it. With the vaccines, the idea is to give your body a look at the protein that the virus makes without actually giving you the virus that actually takes over the cell and make you real sick.
So it's safe to say that from a medical perspective, it is best to get a vaccine or get vaccinated when we are in a situation like we are now. Is it safe to say that?
For sure. So I think all of us, we all really have three choices as far as what we're going to be doing with the vaccine. We all want the fourth choice. The fourth choice doesn't exist in reality. The fourth choice is that you're not going to get the virus and you're not going to get sick and you don't have to worry about it. So we all really want that, but in reality, you have to stick with reality, and that one doesn't exist. So the first choice that I think people can make is to live their lives in seclusion. And I don't know if some of your listeners might remember Howard Hughes, the billionaire. He was big in the developing the airline industry in this country. in his later years, he wound up being a germaphobe. And I think he wound up living in like a hotel penthouse somewhere, locked up and afraid to see anybody, and was basically kind of a tragic case, I think. And to me, that option is not really living, but that's one option that people can choose. The second option is to choose to get the vaccine. And the third option is to get the virus. So the virus is here, it's around, I think it's here, it's around to stay. We're seeing that there's mutations being made, kind of like what the flu does, and the flu's been around here for, hundreds, thousands of years, whatever. And it's here to stay, and it's always changing, it's always around. And it looks like this COVID virus is doing the same thing. So I don't think it's going away. So unless you get the vaccine or you're living your life like Howard Hughes, you're eventually the virus will catch up to you. I know people that were pretty extreme in terms of their safety. They were washing everything, double, wearing extra masks and sanitizing everything they touched, and really worked hard on trying to not get the virus, and lo and behold, they still got the virus. So I think sooner or later the virus will catch up to you if you don't get the vaccine. Now, with the COVID, the chances of the COVID virus killing you in this country is on the order of magnitude of about 1%. So maybe a 1 in 100 chance. I think for most of us, it's significantly less than that. It's probably 10 times less than that for most of the healthy people in this country. For people that are really at high risk, like somebody that's laid up in a nursing home bed, it'll be a higher risk. But let's call it on the order of a 1 in 100 chance that if you get the virus, that the virus will kill you. Now, if you get the vaccine, there is potential that people can get anaphylaxis with the vaccine, which is an extreme allergic reaction, which could potentially kill you from the vaccine. That is fortunately proving to be a pretty rare event. And I'm going to say, let's say it's 1 in 100,000. Truth is, it looks like the true numbers are probably closer to 1 in a million type of chance with of an anaphylaxis type reaction. But let's say it's 1 in 100,000. Well, if you're a poker player, it's kind of like, do you want to choose to get 10 cards or do you want to choose to get 1 card? So if you choose the virus, it's like choosing 1 card, and if you choose to get the vaccine, it's like choosing to get 10 cards, and your odds are just going to be way better with the vaccine. On top of that, for people with somebody who does have an anaphylaxis response, it's usually going to be right away. And when we give people vaccines, we monitor them for a bit to make sure that they aren't having a sudden severe reaction. And if they do, we can treat them. And so, to my knowledge, nobody's died of anaphylaxis from the vaccine in this country.
Okay. So what are the different types of vaccines for COVID?
Right now, there's 3 vaccines approved for emergency use authorization by the FDA. So 2 of those are the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines, which is a 2-shot vaccine. And those are kind of cutting edge technology vaccines that use mRNA technology. The third vaccine is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is a 1-shot vaccine, which was just recently approved. And it's an older type of vaccine technology that's using what they call a viral vector, or basically it's kind of a killed virus that won't make you sick, but it gives your body the protein that way.
Wow, interesting. So it seems like people probably will most likely want to get the third vaccine opposed to the first two that you named, I'm assuming.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. At this point, I think whatever vaccine somebody can get, I think I would recommend. I've had family members that have had both. Some have had the Pfizer vaccine, some have had the Moderna vaccine. I haven't had anybody get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine yet. I think I got one patient the other day, but I haven't gotten any feedback from them yet. But the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines will give you about 95% immunity.
Okay.
So, and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is more like 66% immunity, something like that.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there's a difference in that. Certainly, I think somebody who has immune compromised or has other medical issues that would put them at higher risk of dying from COVID, it's probably best for them to get one of those 2-shot vaccines rather than the single shot.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yes. Somebody who has trouble with following up to get the second shot. So something like a homeless person, for instance, it might be best to get them the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, since it's just a 1-shot vaccine, and you don't have to worry about trying to track them down to get the second shot for them.
Interesting. I didn't do any research like that to even think of it like that, but that's good to know. I know that I've heard people can get like blood clots, heart attacks, and die after they get the vaccine. Is that true?
It's absolutely true. Guess what else? It's possible that people can get blood clots and heart attacks and die if they don't get the vaccine.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's true.
So when they're testing the vaccine on people and giving the vaccine on people, well, we're starting off giving it to people that are elderly, geriatric patients that are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. And these are people, if you give a vaccine to somebody that's 90 something years old, the odds that they're going to die within the next year or even in the next month are pretty high, whether you give them the vaccine or not.
Yeah.
And so in other words, they get the vaccine and then they have a blood clot or a heart attack and die, but did the vaccine cause them to have the blood clot and the heart attack? So to really answer that question, you really have to look at large patient populations to see what's statistically significant. So to date, and they're tracking all of this, and to date, it's not statistically significant. So in other words, there's people that get heart attacks or blood clots, but it looks like that's something that if they didn't get the vaccine, they still would have gotten a heart attack and blood clot, and still have that tragedy regardless.
So what I'm hearing you say is it's either way it go, the population, meaning the human race population, are at risk for blood clots, heart attacks, and so forth. So it's best to get vaccinated anyway, because you'll have a better chance with dealing with COVID-19. Exactly. Although there are some side effects that comes along with the vaccine.
There's definitely side effects that come with the vaccine itself. Again, the key, the severe one would be anaphylaxis, where basically it's a severe allergic reaction. People's throats will swell up and lips and.
The third show that we're going to talk about and take you back down memory lane with is Living and Recovering. As many of you all know, there are people who struggle with substance abuse, and they get themselves the help that they need so that they can live in recovery. Check this out. So when did you first, to your knowledge, when did you feel you first start experiencing mental health like challenges or differences?
Well, like I said, it started early, but I didn't know like that's what it was. Like thinking back now in hindsight, I can identify like kind of when it started when I was like maybe in like the second grade, and I just felt like, well, I didn't feel like I didn't have any friends for sure. I had
Yeah,
like one friend, and
yeah,
he was like younger than me. Like I couldn't make friends my own age. Just really shy, and
yeah,
that gave birth to like a lot of, I guess, like crippling anxiety. I
yeah,
had found it really hard to be like in social situations. Like I couldn't put myself out there. Like I couldn't be in a room of people, and if I was, like I felt like super alone.
yeah.
And that's my first like remembrance of, like, I guess how like the first issues that started.
So what were some more symptoms of um, as you start to get older? How did your symptoms graduate or start to increase for anxiety?
Well, for anxiety, it kind of like commingled with depression when I turned about like 12. And
Okay.
then like the main thing that would manifest was I would isolate a lot. I would just be um like I hated going to school. Like I would show up like right when the bell started. That way I didn't have to like stand around and like be awkward because I had no friends. So I'd show up like right at 8:30 when the bell was ringing, sometimes a few minutes afterwards, because I mean that was even better actually. Then I just walk in, I don't have any interaction with people. um and then like after I get out of school, I would just like walk or bike straight home. And then at that point, like I I kind of like got, well, I just spent a lot of time on the internet, I guess, just like reading and
Yeah.
like playing like dumb games, like just like anything to like distract myself, really. Like
Yeah.
and like I didn't like, and I was lost. Like I didn't, like I felt like I didn't belong. So like at the same time, I felt like I had no direction. So
Yeah.
like it was even hard to focus on my schoolwork because I didn't know like what I wanted to do, and it like just felt pointless. Even though like like I never thought of myself as like stupid or anything. Like I always actually got good grades, but like I just it was just like hard to think about like the bigger picture because I I was just dealing with all these issues internally,
Yeah.
and like I didn't know who to talk to about it. I just like kept that stuff in for really forever, and until like maybe my 20s I started even talking about it with my parents and like doctors and stuff.
Also, your parents didn't know.
No, they didn't. Like they just thought I was like shy and quiet. My dad was like a professor at UC Davis, and like, or he is a professor at UC Davis, so he's always like super busy,
Yeah.
working all the time. Like he brings his work home a lot, and just like he's a teacher at a college. He just works a lot. And so like my mom at that time was like she immigrated here from China, so she was working on like getting her real estate license. She was going to school at the same time. She was just like really busy doing a bunch of different things. So like it's not like, I know my parents love me,
Yeah.
but they just like it was just hard to communicate with them because they were so busy with their own stuff.
Yeah. You know, so we're gonna flip a little bit. I want to talk, 'cause you talked about a little bit about depression too. So I'm just gonna give the very simple definition of depression. I mean, there's different levels and the different level of anxiety and stuff, but for the sake of the audience that we've been watching it, it says depression is a feeling of sadness that impede your ability to enjoy your life. Signs of depression is trouble concentrating, feelings of hopelessness, fatigue, feeling a sudden dip in esteem, and trouble eating or sleeping. And when I was doing like my research and I was reading the symptoms and the definition of depression, it really brought me back to someone that was extremely close to me. This individual, would always tell me he is battling a down feeling. And that's the terminology he used. I'm battling a down feeling. And we had been friends for many years, and I did not realize this boy was dealing with depression until I'm gonna say at least about 6 or 7 years into our friendship. Like just all those years went by and he was battling a down feeling. And it never occurred to me. I mean, and he would we would be just out eating movies or just, you know, watching TV or whatever, and we'll be laughing, joking, and then boom, it'll be a switch of energy. And at first, I didn't really understand what was going on because my natural personality, I'm a jokester. I'm like, very encouraging and supportive, and you know, and then I couldn't necessarily shake him out of that feeling. There's times when he will start to feel like that if he's at the house or we was at the movies, he will leave. It still didn't make no sense to me. I mean, well, let me say it makes sense. I didn't understand what was going on. And it was when I actually started kind of working more in the mental health field and things like that. It was like an aha moment for me. I'm like, oh, this is what this individual was dealing with and going through. And honestly, I felt a sense of guilt. I felt a sense of guilt because I felt like, man, this is one of my closest friends, if not my closest friend at the time. And I didn't understand what he was going through. And even though he would try to communicate it the best way he know how, I think part of him did not want to use the term depression because stigma.
Yeah.
And but once I, start to understand a little bit more of it, then I was able to get in there and help him with the tools that I had to give to him to deal with depression.
Mm.
So, what are some of the things that, or signs and symptoms that you experience when you feel like you're depressed?
Well, it's like you said, there's different levels of depression, I guess. And the problem with depression is it's tricky because inherently, like it's a feeling that everybody has. It's kind of like natural. It's a
Yes,
natural emotion.
yes,
Um, but the problem with clinical depression is it once it comes and sets in, like it doesn't go away. And so
yeah,
for me, like this manifests in like I won't get out of bed for
yeah,
multiple days at a time. I won't eat or drink water. Um, like I'll drink or I'll eat and drink as little as I possibly can, like just because I don't want to get out of bed. Like I won't shower for like over
yeah,
a week at a time. I won't brush my teeth. Like
yeah,
just like, and it sounds crazy, but like I stopped taking care of myself completely. Like all these like acts of daily living that we do, like,
yeah,
and just there's all go out the window, and like it's like it's really hard to pull yourself out of it, and sometimes it can last for months.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
when you have people around you that don't understand the symptoms of depression or don't have a full understanding of mental health or not educated on mental health, stuff like that, sometimes they approach it in a way that is unsupportive, even though they think they're being supportive. But I think sometimes people don't really know, because, folks will say, get up. You've been in your room all day, or you haven't did this or did that. I kind of remember him living at home with his parents, and he has experienced some of that. to the point where, you know, according to him, to the point where his dad would take his the room door off the hinges because he's sleeping in late and he don't want to get up and his room is messy and stuff like that. You know, I think that they really didn't know how to deal with that and not
Yeah.
realize that there's a bigger issue going on and trying to force him out of that state when sometimes it had to run its course, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And like you know, there's all kinds of things for me personally that can trigger it. It's really circumstantial. And the problem with me also is like since I have like addiction issues too, they like play
Yeah.
into each other and they potentiate each other really badly. And so like
Yeah.
even when I was like first like getting sober, I wasn't convinced that like I had depression still.
Yeah.
Like I thought it might be like a symptom of the drug use. But
Yeah.
then even after like being clean for like 2 years, like I just had these lingering like these bad thoughts that like wouldn't go away. And so now like I'm firm believer in like medication. Like
Yeah.
I really believe um like there is like, some kind of chemical imbalances in the brain, and like some of these meds, like it might take a while to find the right one, but like, you know, there are meds out there that can potentially help people.
The fourth show that we're going to talk about that's going to take you back down memory lane is scams. As many of you all know, many of us receive phone calls, emails, and text messages that ask for our personal information. The older adult population is the most targeted population. So check this out. So let's just dive right into it. So today's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about scams and what people can do to protect themselves. So what is your definition of scam?
Well, I don't know what Webster says, but basically a scam is when somebody's running some kind of a program or method to deceive other people, to fraud them out of money or items. And
Yeah, or identity or something.
identity theft, or there's just so many kinds, try to get, money out of them or get their identity so they can get into a person's assets.
Yes.
It's very scary how many scams are being run out there now. If you Google it, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful.
Yeah. Have you ever been scammed before, or have someone attempted to scam you?
I don't think there's probably a person on the planet that hasn't been had an attempt. But fortunately, Jesse, I have a background in marketing and tech pubs and editing. So early in about the 90s, when the scams really started being more prevalent, I would get these emails, and it is so easy just to go onto the internet and copy a logo. You could copy the Bank of America logo just by putting your cursor on it and clicking it, and then you could drop it into a document. So people would do that with these emails. They'd put the Bank of America logo or Wells Fargo, something that's nationally known, and then draft up their own text and try to run the scam on you. But inevitably, I would spot typos and formatting errors, and so right away I knew this was not legitimate. One time I had one thing come through, it looked like it might possibly be legit, so I called my bank immediately and they notified me, no, it was a scam. So after that point, anytime there was one red flag, I checked it out. And so I have not been scammed, but definitely I know people who have.
I shared a story with you when we spoke the other day about how someone attempted to scam me. I got an email that supposedly, I guess they were trying to portray that they were Netflix. And the email read something like, your Netflix account has been suspended due to non-payment. And so they were trying to say that, because Netflix, they take the money out your bank account every month. And so I thought to myself, this can't be right, because I had just kind of went online and looked at my bank account and things like that. And I had just left from downstairs maybe like 30 or 40 minutes ago watching Netflix. And so I go upstairs, I get this message through email. And so, but the curiosity took over. So I said, okay, let me check online. And I went into my bank account and the money was there, of course.
And then I thought, So I went downstairs and cut Netflix back on, and of course it was working. And I thought to myself that who in the world tried to scam me? But they wanted my information, my bank information to update it in so many words and stuff like that. But
that's just to get your account number.
Yeah, exactly. And if I would have failed for it, they would have had access to my, financial information. So it's important that people know that, don't just automatically assume that these are familiar people that you automatically deal with on a monthly basis and stuff like that. I told you about one of my friend's mothers, and I think that, I'm gonna save this for something else, so later question down there. But just be aware that these people are out there, and you got to know how to protect yourself.
That's so true. It's really true, and there's common threads through most of them, and I think you touched on it. There's lots of different types of lead-ins that are all just trying to get your personal information, your Social Security, maybe a Medicare number or your bank account number, basically so they can have free access to your assets, to get to your bank account. Or your Social Security check.
So why do you think people actually, and I know this is probably I'm gonna ask anyway, why do you think people actually scam other people?
I'm not a qualified therapist or psychologist, so I will just give you my opinion for what it's worth. Because
and I only ask that because for someone to put that type of time and effort into coming up with a scam, and for me, in retrospect, these have to be some very articulate people.
Yes, they're usually extremely bright people. And the reason I was chuckling is because I was married to someone that had that kind of mentality, and and you and I were just talking about if these people who are running these scams, and usually at some point they do get caught, but enough of them don't and do well with it. That's why there are so many scams being perpetrated. But I saw with him, it was a type of mentality. It just was a beat the system, that I'm smarter than you, and I, kind of a gambler mentality, to see if I can get caught. And then it could be laziness too. If it looks like this is a quicker and easier way to make a lot of money than the 9-to-5 job, I think that plays into it.
That's exactly right.
Yes, and I do know too that a lot of scams originate in other countries, oftentimes in extremely impoverished economic countries. So you could have some very bright, college-educated people there and not have still opportunities like they would have in a more developed country. And if they have the access to the internet, that's just an easier way for them. It's a path that they can get in to the riches of the developed countries without having to worry about immigrating.
But as we're sitting here talking now, my wheels are spinning, because not only do the general population get scammed, but government officials also get scammed. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because there are people because I grew up in the hood and all that stuff, and I remember growing up, and I know that people were, quote unquote, beating the system. This is what we call it, beating the system. And a lot of them was receiving, financial, monthly finances or financial checks and food stamps and things like that. And some of them actually didn't qualify for it. They would use different addresses.
High percentage.
A very high percentage.
High percentage of government fraud, welfare fraud.
Exactly.
Welfare and disability fraud.
Exactly. And for those people that actually needed the assistance, some of them didn't qualify. And the ones that didn't
right, because they tighten the screws on that, and then the people that don't deserve it or need it are getting it. So
that's, and I just kind of thought about that being another form of being scammed. So what are some of the most prevalent scams that you think are out there today?
Well, it's interesting. The morning before I got the invitation from you to speak, I opened up my newspaper, which I always read with my coffee, and lo and behold, they were talking about a new scam that's been running around, hitting the senior population, the gift card scam. So that is one that is at the forefront. There's just a lot of them. I did a little bit of research, and I pulled up the 10 main ones that are going on today. But a high number of scams really do target the senior population
Yes.
because it's the largest cohort, largest percentage of age group. So
Yeah.
by the year 2025, 25% of the population is going to be over 65.
Yeah.
And they're very trusting, especially the older seniors that
Yes.
are in their 85 plus group, 85 to 90 and 90s. They grew up in an era where people did business on a handshake.
Exactly.
They didn't have this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
People were more honest. They didn't have scams and frauds. So they're more innocent, they're more trusting.
Yeah.
That and foreign-born
Yes.
people are really being hit
I would-
now
yes.
because they're not as sophisticated to all
Yeah.
of this kind of stuff. A lot of them did not have access to internet
Yes.
and things until just more recently. And what I do not like to see, and I had personal experience with one of my best friends from the Philippines years ago. I mean, this was back in the 90s. I worked with her and she came to me telling me how she thought her parents were being scammed.
Yeah.
And what happens with the older generation coming from a country that had a lot of harsh military law,
Yeah.
the authorities, meaning police or government, strike terror in
Yeah.
them. And as soon as somebody called and said, "This is the police," immediately just cold chills go through their body, and it's like, whatever,
Yeah.
don't beat me, don't kill me, don't throw me in jail,
Yeah.
and they have this reaction, this fear reaction. So they'll tell you whatever you need just to protect themselves or their families. And it was very hard for my friend to convince them that this was indeed a scam and a fraud. They were not used to that
Right.
kind of thing. And it was a very difficult situation because of that.
Yeah.
They're so trained to respond to anything like authority. So
Yeah.
when somebody calls them and says, "This is the government, your social security number's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
compromised, you need to give me your information
exactly.
so I can be sure, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
And then they say, or you'll be arrested. Then
Yeah.
immediately they just spit it out
Yeah,
without
yeah,
thinking. And
yeah.
that is a real problem.
Yeah, and I recently shared with you how a good friend of mine who is, their family is from the, I'm gonna say the Slavic community.
Mm-hmm.
And so his mom got a phone call recently, and the person on the other end that made the phone call, they was asking his mom for her personal information because they want to verify her personal information because they were trying, I guess they were trying to say something to the extent that, we need to verify your information before your monthly benefits because she get SSI, whatever it was.
That's one of the main ones going
And-
around now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it wasn't for monthly benefits, but they were saying they was calling from the Social Security office or something. They need to verify her personal information. So she was talking to them, and she ended up giving them her Social Security numbers. Now, meanwhile, after she did that, she realized, she said, "Oh, well, talk to my son and daughter." Because she can, there's a language barrier there,
yeah.
because she doesn't speak English. But it was too late because she had gave them a
She'd
Social Security
already given
number.
it to 'em,
And
yeah.
they hung up the phone and stuff when she made that statement because they were trying to get more information out of her. And and afterwards she cried and she felt bad that she had got scammed, but she really thought that she was doing the right thing, And I think that's why it's important too. Also, even my mom recently, with my mom, the same thing with her, and I had to tell her, like, look, you don't give nobody your information out on the phone. Nobody, don't give nothing out on the phone at all,
It's very important for people to understand that any government agency is going to contact you first in written form.
Yes.
They never call first.
Yeah.
They will never, and I mean never as an absolute, never, ever, ever.
Yeah.
Call and ask you for personal information.
Yeah.
You will get a notification and then are told to, say if it's Social Security, told
Yeah.
to contact the Social Security office, in which case you would go down in person and
Yeah.
talk with them.
Yeah.
But anytime anybody calls on the phone and asks for that information,
Yeah.
you know it's going to be a scam.
Yes.
Your bank's not going to ask for it over the phone.
Yes.
Government agencies aren't going to ask for it over the phone. So
Yes.
that's a red flag, very important for people to know.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I have a friend who recently they were job hunting, and so they got they filled out they sent their resume in, and so I guess the people from the agency sent them a email back. and they were saying how they was impressed with the resume or whatever. And so they said, we want you to fill out an application. So they sent them the application. Now, meanwhile, there was no communication on the phone at all, okay? They sent them out the application, and most people that have, there's represented government agency or any form of agency, you can tell by the email, because the email will also always be,
.gov or something.
Yeah, associated with the agency that they're representing.
Right.
And so with these particular people, I guess they must have like a Gmail or a Comcast email or whatever. So that was a red flag, and I was telling my friend that was a red flag. But my friend wanted to kind of push the envelope further, and so what was on the job application, they asked for a social security number. No, this ain't even the bad part. They asked for social security number. They asked for if you had any 401k, just all type of financial information. And I'm like, this is crazy, you know. And they asked for like previous employers, like what was your job salary, and it was just too much detail. So I said, okay, look, call them, because the person, whoever it was, had an email and a phone number, you know, listed at the bottom. So I said, call them and just kind of see what's what and stuff like that. But it actually turned out to be legit.
Is that
yeah,
right?
It turned out to be legit. But I told my friend, I said, but if I were you, I still wouldn't push the envelope with it, because this is something that they need to learn to they need to edit or amend their job application.
Exactly.
Certain stuff
You ask the
for.
social security number if you need it as a company.
Yeah.
The person, when they're filling out their tax exemption paperwork.
Exactly.
But to ask on a job application, I would check with one of these companies that are HR consultants, because I don't know that would actually be legal.
To
do that. It's certainly not good practice.
It's not good
ethical.
practice. But
I would
it was
never
legit.
I would never fill it out.
It was legit, but I just think that they just, you know, it wasn't good practice. That's what I'm gonna say.
No, it certainly is not.
Thank you for listening to this edition of Mental Health Matters. I so enjoyed you guys going back down memory lane with us. If you enjoyed this particular show, if you'd like to be a guest on our show, or if you would like a DVD copy of this show, please dial 916-366-4600. Thank you.